Recently, several former and current police officers reached out to Eyewitness News with concerns about overtime being accumulated by members of the Charleston Police Department. They talked about the possibilities of waste, fraud, and abuse. They also said they were worried about the impact massive overtime payments may have on one of the department's pension plans, which covers many retired and older officers still serving on the force. Some of those officers produced documentation, including a June 1st email sent by Charleston Patrol Commander Captain Brian Griggs. He wrote about several issues addressed by then Chief of Police James Tyke Hunt, including rank structure, lack of discipline, and rumor spreading. But he also weighed in on the overtime issue and officers checking on other officers' time cards. Griggs tried to put a stop to that, writing, quote, "So I am giving a direct order that officers will not be in anyone's telestaff unless they are directly responsible for approving that person's telestaff," end quote. Eyewitness News wanted to take a look at those records, so we sent a Freedom of Information Act request to the city asking for police payroll numbers for fiscal years 2017 to 2023. We examined those records and found nearly 500,000 hours of OT. Here are the top 10 CPD overtime earners in that period. At the head of the list is Lieutenant Tony Hazlett, the Investigative Services Bureau Chief. Since fiscal year 2017, Hazlett's racked up more than 1,000 hours of overtime annually for every year except one. For the past 2 years, Hazlett has claimed more than 2,000 hours of overtime. For the 2023 fiscal year ending last June, records show Hazlett claimed 2,546 hours of OT, making an extra $113,000 and more than doubling his yearly salary of $62,500. Thanks to his overtime, the lieutenant has more than doubled the amount he has earned over the past 7 years. Second on the list is Major John Garton. The deputy chief has totaled more than 8,400 hours of overtime the last 7 years, with more than half of those hours coming the last 3 years. It adds up to an extra $347,000 on his paycheck, which means he's averaging $108,000 a year since 2017. At number 3 is Captain Mike Pridemore, the Community Policing Bureau Chief. Since 2017, he's worked more than 8,300 overtime hours, bringing in an extra $351,000. Combined with Pridemore's base pay, that averages out to nearly $110,000 a year. Sergeant Richie Bassford is fourth on the department's overtime list. The Chief of Detectives has clocked in more than 6,900 hours of OT, earning an additional $250,000 since fiscal year 2017. At number 5 is Lieutenant John Harrison, who worked 6,500 extra hours, earning $258,000 above his regular pay. Sergeant Jessie Redden has collected the 6th most overtime hours in the time period we looked at. She has just 3 hours shy of 6,000, earning an extra $200,000. Lieutenant Mark Kinder has piled up 5,744 overtime hours, raking in nearly $221,000, putting his total earnings at $600,000. At number 8 is Corporal Ryan Spaulding, who has been consistently racking up overtime between nearly 700 and more than 900 hours yearly, putting his OT earnings at $184,000 and pushing his total compensation to more than $500,000. Sergeant Kevin Oldham has clocked in 5,400 extra hours since FY 2017. That's meant an extra $200,000 on his paychecks. And at number 10, Corporal Owen Morris consistently worked hundreds of extra hours each year before claiming more than 1,250 last year. We've also included overtime totals for former Chief James Tyke Hunt, who stepped down from his position citing back problems and is now a lieutenant. From 2017 to 2020, when he was eligible for OT, Hunt collected nearly 1,000 extra work hours a year. But even with that much overtime added to his regular salary, Hunt is just the 4th highest paid officer on the force since fiscal year 2017. In total, he's earned $683,000, trailing Hazlett, Garton, and Pridemore. Interim Chief Scott Dempsey, who took over the department when Hunt stepped down, worked an extra 2,800 hours of overtime when he was eligible between 2017 and 2021. However, his OT totals are much lower than everyone else on our list. In fiscal year 2017, the department's overtime costs for 179 officers totaled $1.9 million. That paid for 60,000 overtime hours. In fiscal year 2023, for 186 officers, the department's OT expenses were nearly $3 million due to about 78,000 overtime hours. We asked to talk with Charleston Mayor Amy Goodwin and former Chief Hunt about the overtime costs. Those interview requests were refused, but Hunt did send us an email while he was still chief, stating in part, the overtime worked has made Charleston a safer place as the city trends toward the third year of an overall record low crime rate in a 10-year span. Hunt said, quote, the growing number of events our city hosts, our preventative policing initiatives, and our community policing efforts ask a lot of non-scheduled time from our officers, along with the multiple federal task force partnerships. This extra work our officers sign up for is reviewed and approved by a supervisor of higher or equal rank. Hunt went on to say, quote, overtime is also necessary for investigations, call-out situations, and when notifications need to be made. Crime does not stop at a certain hour, and neither do our investigators. Hunt says those factors, coupled with multiple raises over the last 3 years, are why overtime costs have gone up. With this Eyewitness News investigation in Charleston, I'm Kennie Bass.
Thanks for watching, and here's another video from Eyewitness News. Click right here to subscribe to our channel, and remember to hit the bell notification for the latest.